We like to think we're rational human beings, but in reality, we're influenced by hundreds of cognitive biases that mess up our decisions without us even realizing it. Here are 9 of the sneakiest and most dangerous biases around. Imagine meeting a friendly person who hands you $42 and offers a choice. You can either keep the money or take a chance with a coin toss. If it lands heads, you get $100, but if it's tails, you get nothing. What would you do? Take the $42 now or gamble for more? Most people would choose to keep the $42 because it's a guaranteed amount. Our natural instinct is to avoid losing something we already have. This is what we call loss aversion. In simple terms, we work harder to avoid losing $42 than we do to gain $100. Daniel Kahneman, the author of Thinking Fast and Slow, found that losses feel about twice as strong as gains. It's similar to the saying, "A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush." The issue with loss aversion is that it often leads us to stick with the status quo. For example, in salary negotiations, you might accept a lower offer than you deserve or could negotiate for because of the fear of losing the job opportunity altogether. When we make decisions, we often invest a lot of time and effort to make them work. But sometimes, we realize our choice isn't the best for us. Even then, we stick with it, thinking we've already put in too much to change course. This is the sunk cost fallacy, where we keep investing in something even if it's not working out because we've already put so much into it. This way of thinking can be really damaging, especially when it comes to career choices. It can make us stick with jobs that don't make us happy or align with our goals. For example, think about spending years and thousands of dollars becoming a lawyer. You finally land a job at a top law firm. After a while, you've built a great career with good pay and a strong reputation. But you find yourself working nonstop, hardly seeing your family and feeling frustrated and burnt out. Even though you're miserable, you might feel scared to leave the job because you put so much effort into becoming a lawyer. This can leave you feeling incredibly frustrated or even depressed. Ever get the feeling that everyone's watching your every move at work? That's what's known as the spotlight effect. It's like being center stage in a play without ever auditioning for the role. This feeling can really impact your work life. It makes you anxious about what others think, causing unnecessary stress. For example, let's say you slip up while speaking in a meeting. You might think everyone noticed and now thinks less of you. But in reality, most probably didn't even notice, or if they did, they moved on quickly. The spotlight effect makes us focus only on our perspective. We forget that others have their own thoughts and worries. It stops us from speaking up in meetings or freely sharing our ideas, even though those sessions encourage exactly that. In life, stories of failure often go unnoticed. Forbes magazine doesn't feature hardworking CEOs of new failed startups, and there aren't inspiring YouTube videos about determined college dropouts who gave it their all to start a business but failed. Most failure stories don't get shared. What we mostly hear about are success stories. We tend to link success to visible factors like skills and tools used by successful people, assuming these led to their triumphs. This can make us believe anyone can succeed with enough effort. This happens because of survivor bias. We focus on the winners, the survivors, ignoring those who didn't make it. This messes up our ability to understand the likelihood of events. For example, looking at billionaires like Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, we might think that dropping out of college is the starting point for success. But this ignores all the dropouts who didn't succeed. Survivor bias only shows the positives, missing the struggles of those who didn't make it. Ever seen clouds in the sky shaped like your favorite animal? Or maybe you've worn a special shirt, thinking it brings good luck during big moments like exams or when your favorite team plays? Well, these things relate to something called the clustering illusion. It's when we see patterns in stuff that's actually random. Basically, our brains love making order out of chaos, like finding shapes in clouds. It seems harmless, but in some areas, like the stock market, it can cause big problems. For instance, you might notice a stock's price going down, then up, then down, then up over a few days. You think it's a pattern and invest accordingly. But later, you realize the price didn't follow that pattern, and you end up losing money. That's the clustering illusion messing with our decisions. Anchoring bias happens when we rely too much on the first piece of information we receive. It's like our minds getting stuck on that initial point, just like an anchor holds a ship in place. Anchors are often used in negotiations because the first number given carries weight and advantage. Let's say you're in a salary negotiation. In the second round, they offer $45,000 per year, but you believe it's low for your experience and role. You negotiate up to $52,000, feeling satisfied because it's more than the initial offer. However, the HR person might have been able to offer even more. They use the anchoring effect by starting with a lower number, making you think that $52,000 was a good deal. When you're making a decision, certain events or situations might quickly come to mind, making you believe they're more likely to happen again in the future. This kind of thinking, where recent things feel more important, is known as the availability bias. This bias can influence how we assess someone's performance. For instance, picture a manager choosing between Emma and Dan for a leadership role. Both have strong leadership skills, but Emma's been the best in her department. Then Emma accidentally deletes a team project because her computer crashed. Because of this mistake, the manager picks Dan for the promotion. The manager might have given too much weight to Emma's recent mistake and decided based on that. This happens because our brains tend to think more about memorable moments and give them more weight, even if they're not that common. One of the most dangerous mind traps, in my opinion, is the confirmation bias, which could easily be called, "Let me show you why I'm right." It happens when we look for information that supports what we already think, ignoring anything that goes against it. This often leads to taking shortcuts that can be very costly. For example, imagine you want to start a business and have an idea for the next big thing. You conduct a market research to check if people would like it. But here's where the bias sneaks in. Instead of letting the facts speak for themselves, you use the data just to prove your idea is brilliant. Next, if you think customers will love your new product, you will focus on the positive feedback and ignore any criticism. Considering that a significant number of businesses fail due to lack of research, this confirmation bias could actually kill your business. You return home after a rough day at work, but your mind won't let you relax. You are still thinking about all the things you didn't finish and have to do tomorrow. That's the Zeigarnik effect. It says our brains remember unfinished tasks more than completed ones. It messes up our work-life balance. Unfinished tasks create tension in our minds. Even after work, they stick around in our subconscious, bugging us when we try to chill. So, you end up feeling stressed and trying to work in the evening when you're low on energy. But working tired doesn't help much. You end up doing small, unimportant things like checking emails, adding more stress, and eating up your rest time. This cycle messes up your next day because you're not fully rested. And the unfinished task keeps bothering you, ruining your evening again. It's like a loop that blurs the line between work and life, making it tough to focus on anything else.